The Dodgers are down, but they're not out. One more loss ends their season. One more win gives them life. The bats have gone quiet. The fans are restless, but Friday in Toronto, they have an opportunity, hopefully, on Saturday too. It's time to find out who's built for the moment, because Game 6 isn't just another game. It's about pride, heart, and belief.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today, we're going to roll through your voicemails on our listener line, and I'm telling you, there's some passion, frustration, and a few laughs in there too. We'll break down why there's still reason for optimism. Yes, even down 3-2. But first, Travis, let's make a deep dive into this mindset that the team needs heading into Game 6.
I like it, Ari. I think that there is some optimism, and if nothing else, there is hope. There is always hope until you are out. So we got a lot to cover today on today's episode of Locked On Dodgers, brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download that FanDuel app today.
He's Travis Rodgers. I'm Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger blue for life. You can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app from 3 to 6 p.m. with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans and the Las Vegas Raiders. But nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you. To everyone who's new here, welcome. We're so glad to have you as part of the Locked On Dodgers family. And to our everydayers, you guys are the heartbeat of this show. Thank you so much for your support. We've actually had the 6 most watched episodes in our channel's history just over the past couple of weeks. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like our content, and drop a comment. Okay, let's kick things off talking about mindset over mayhem. What the Dodgers need in Game 6, because let's be real, the Dodgers bats have gone MIA when it has mattered most. In each of their 3 losses in this World Series, they've had runners on base, they've had hittable pitches, but the big swings just haven't come, and they know it, Travis.
Yeah, it's funny, Terry. I was talking on my radio show today with 3 Dodger legends, really, Orel Hershiser, Shawn Green, and Eric Gagne. And I asked them all the same questions, talking about, when your guys are just not in a good spot, when you're trying to find a way out of a dark time and you're slumping, like, what do you do to try to find that mindset that you're talking about? And all of them, just, you have to go back and trust in what you know, and trust that what you do works, that even if it's not working at the time, that it's the reason you're in the big leagues is because you are a talented guy, because you have to put in the work, because you have done all of the things, that continue to trust in the processes that got you here. And, oh, by the way, go out there like it's the last day on earth and play like your hair is on fire. That was kind of the message that they all brought today. And I think that's about where they are. I mean, these guys are not inexperienced players. They are, almost entirely a veteran group of guys that have not only been through, Major League Baseball, but been through World Series baseball before. And finding and landing on that experience, I think, is incredibly important. And at the same time, kind of having a blanket attitude and just say, hey, look, let's just go out there and see what happens. No more of this, playing tight and tentative. And, the last couple of days, it felt like the Dodgers were on their heels from the jump. Go out there, be aggressive, throw the first punch, and see what happens.
Yeah, they haven't gotten here to the World Series by accident, like just limping. It's like, no, they were dominant in the National League. Now they're struggling with an American League team. But let's listen to Kike Hernandez, who he didn't sugarcoat it after Game 5.
Yeah.
We are, seems like at bats are snowballing on us right now. Getting pitches to hit, we're missing them, and then we're expanding the zone with 2 strikes. And I think the best thing that can happen for us is a day off, get a day to regroup and, figure it out. But as a group, it's time for us to, show our character and put up a fight and, see what happens.
That's accountability right there, Travis. You can tell that this clubhouse isn't delusional. They know they're getting pitches to hit. They're just not cashing in.
Yeah, I think that, if we're being optimistic, and I think really, Harry, at this point in the season, down 3-2 in the World Series, going back to Toronto, what choice do you really have other than to be optimistic? They're a swing away. They're one hit away from everybody going, oh, yeah, right. We can get hits. We can score runs. We can put crooked numbers up on the scoreboard. I think that everybody's kind of, squeezing the sawdust out of the bat. They're gripping it so tightly right now. Everybody's trying to do so much damage that nothing's getting done. I think Kike's exactly right, that they know what they need to do. They know what sort of at-bats they need to have. They need to go out there, and as hard as it is, especially in an elimination game, to relax a little bit and to just trust that the reason that they were a team that everybody thought was going to win 120 games, the reason that even when they weren't playing well, that everybody that follows baseball was saying the Dodgers have the best team. They might not be playing the best, but they have the best players, is to kind of believe in that and trust in that. And I know I've been saying this a lot these last couple of weeks, but I keep saying it because I believe it. The Dodgers are 11-4 in the playoffs. 11-4. That's a tremendous run, and they've done it without hitting at all. The bats will come. They need to come very quickly, but I'm still optimistic that once you kind of get that pressure valve opened and you start to see some guys like, oh, that's all it is. It's just a base hit up the middle. It's going the other way. It's letting the ball get a little deeper. It's being maybe slightly less aggressive as far as really trying to attack a pitch early in the zone. I think everything's going to open up for them. And I really do think if they can get it rolling, it'll keep rolling.
And look, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say that after Game 5, I was extremely frustrated. I was very pissed off. And our show from Thursday is doing great numbers on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Thank you so much to everyone that is tuning in. But right here, I'm a little bit more calm and just with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to trust my boys. I hope that they win. But just to play devil's advocate right now, Travis, the Dodgers are pretty much in the same situation they were in 2018 against the Red Sox, where if it weren't for a Max Muncy walk-off home run in the 18th inning, they would have been swept by the Red Sox. Right here against these Blue Jays, they're one masterpiece from Yoshinobu Yamamoto in Game 2 and one crazy game, number 3, from also potentially being swept or this series already being done. Fortunately, that's not the case, and our boys still have the opportunity to keep fighting, and you could look at it both ways. It's like one hit, one swing, one situation away where you're in a better spot, but at the same time, you're one great outing from Yamamoto, one crazy game away from also potentially even being swept.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things here. Number one, going back to 2018, like you mentioned a second ago, Harry, the difference between this team and that team, this team is better than their opponent, right? I know that the Blue Jays have played better. I'm not here to tell you that they haven't. The Blue Jays, through the first 5 games of this series, have played better baseball than the Dodgers. I don't believe they have a better team than the Dodgers. So the Dodgers' talent has, anytime you've got a talented roster, that talent can take over at any point. So you go back to that 2018 team where the Dodgers and the Red Sox are playing. I'm not so sure that the Dodgers weren't the lesser of those two teams. So I think that's a little different. And number 2 is, you're right that they don't have to go out there and score 10 runs. I really do think if they can get somewhere in the 4 to 5 range, that's probably enough to do it. I'll say it again. I was talking with Orel today on my radio show, Orel Hershiser, and we were talking a lot about Yamamoto after his Game 2 performance, where he became the first Dodger pitcher in the postseason to throw back-to-back complete games since Orel Hershiser had done it in 1988. And I asked him, I said, what do you think he's going to do today? He goes, I think he's going to throw another one. He wasn't being hyped, right? This was not one of those. He goes, I expect him to throw another complete game, because I told him I threw 3 in a row in 1988. You need to go throw 3 in a row because they need you to go throw 3 in a row. And he thinks that Yamamoto's up for the task.
Hey, once Yamamoto does it, I'm I'm speaking it into existence. There's no doubt once 2026 starts, he's at the top of the totem pole when it comes to that rotation. All right. We heard from Kike Hernandez, who didn't sugarcoat it. Now let's listen to Dave Roberts, who was asked after getting to Toronto on Thursday about players being in between, wanting to crush fastballs, but guarding against the slider or the curve.
I've been doing a lot of thinking about this. I'm sure our guys too. I think it's more of, all that being said, intent, mechanics. I think right now, when we got to find a way to win one game. And I could dive into my thoughts, but I think at the end of the day, they've just got to compete and fight in the batter's box. And it's one-on-one. The hitter versus the pitcher, and that's it. I think that, that sort of mindset is all I'll be looking for, and, and expect good things to happen from that.
I love that.
Absolutely. And that's a tough part right there, Travis. When you're thinking too much at the plate, that split-second hesitation can turn a line drive into a pop-up, can turn a home run into just a loud out.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's one of my favorite cuts from Dave Roberts that I've heard in a really long time, because that was literally, guys, let's not overthink this too much. Let's go out there and play a baseball game. Let's go out there and find a way to win. When you get in that batter's box, let's not think too much about approach or this, that, or anything. Go out there and compete. Go out there and be the great players that you are, and let's see what happens. I think at this point, that's really all you can do. I also loved what we saw, at their workout in Toronto, where he's racing the players around the bases and he face plants coming around second base. And honestly, it was funny, but B, I think it was a pretty good demonstration of, what? Considering they've got their backs against the wall, the gun to their head, whatever, metaphor you want.
Their butts whooped.
Yeah, they're having a good time and they're loose and they're getting ready, because everybody can sit around there and chew your nails and be terrified about what's going to happen next, but they're out there saying, hey, let's get ready to play another baseball game. And I've said it once, I'm going to say it again. If you said to me, the Dodgers need to win 2 games in a row against any baseball team on the planet, I'll take my chances. That is not, you're not asking them to win 10 in a row. You're asking them to win 2 games in a row. And really, you're only asking them to win tomorrow, because if you get into game 7, then all bets are off and all the pressure is equal across the board. Nobody has an advantage in that situation. So find a way to win a baseball game tomorrow, and who knows what's happening next. I'm really, the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more optimistic I am, because the talent is there. The experience is there. They just have to relax this much and let the game come to them a little bit and just compete like crazy.
The more we talk about it, the more we buy into the idea of it being possible. But I also understand the people who are like, no, series done. Why? Because since beating Cincinnati in the wild card, this Dodgers as a team are hitting 214 with a 666 OPS. Oh, 666 across the Phillies, Brewers, and Blue Jays. That's not going to get it done. But once again, you said it, Travis, baseball's weird. Momentum is a liar. You can look awful one night and put up a 10 spot the next. Remember when the Dodgers got swept by the Angels in mid-August, and then it was like, oh boy, the Padres, they're about to catch up. What did the Dodgers do? They go and sweep the Padres. That's the beauty of this sport. Where in football, you get to play one of your divisional opponents, and if you lose, you got to wait a couple of weeks to play them again and see how it goes. Or if you lose against one team, then you got to sit on that loss for a whole week, and hopefully the next week you're able to bounce back. Baseball, you always got the next day. But the thing is, right now, the Dodgers don't have the next day guaranteed. They have today. They have Friday guaranteed, and they just need to go out there. And Game 6 isn't about analytics. It's about belief. This Dodgers team, I can guarantee you, will step into the Rogers Center saying, we're not going home tonight.
No, it's about fight. It's about willing to do whatever it takes to win on any given night. And as far as momentum goes, Harry, I'll just, you don't have to go back that far. Think about where all the momentum was after Freddie Freeman hit that home run in the 18th inning. Think about, we're talking about Dodgers won 2 in a row. Yamamoto just gone complete game. They come back in. Ohtani hits a couple of dingers. He's on base 9 times. Freddie Freeman hits a walk-off, and everybody's like, man, this is awesome. The Dodgers, and it changed.
We got Snell back.
Right. Changed like that. It just, instantly changed like, oh my God, what happened? It can change back the other way just as quickly. We've seen it. The Dodgers looked terrible in game 1. They looked great in game 2. They outlasted in a classic game 3. Looked pretty lousy in games 4 and 5. Let's be honest about it. That has nothing to do with what's coming up in game 6.
Exactly. And look, they have veterans. They got guys who are either current MVPs in Shohei Ohtani, former MVPs in Mookie and Freddie, who've lived this before. And speaking of Shohei and that crew, coming up on Locked On Dodgers, I'll tell you why I'm not counting this team out. There are real, tangible reasons to believe the Dodgers can pull this off, and some lineup hints from Dave Roberts that might shake things up before it's too late.
This episode of Locked On Dodgers is brought to you by Prize Picks. We make decisions every day. You make them, I make them. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this sports season, whether you are deep into the NFL like me and Harry, whether you love the NBA or both, right? There's no better time to jump in on the action. So if you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. And if you get them right, you win. It really is that easy. It takes you less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play wherever Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, Georgia, and right now, the new Stacks feature. That's a game changer, right? You can pick more on Steph Curry's points, threes, and assists all in the same lineup. That's only available on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. It's free. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers postcast show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. Here are some reasons to believe why the Dodgers still have a shot. Let's shift the tone here because, yes, the Dodgers are down 3-2, but the series is far from over. History tells us that 8 of 31 teams who trailed 3-2 have come back to win the World Series. That's not great odds, but this team isn't most teams, and that's reason number 1 right there, Travis. They're not any team that we have ever seen in baseball before.
No, they're not. I mean, this is not your run-of-the-mill team. This is a team, like you mentioned in our last segment, that has Hall of Famers, MVPs, up and down the roster. We were talking about this today too, that they have a Hall of Famer who's in the dugout steps calling the shots in Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts is going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if anybody's really stopped to think about that too much, but he is a deadlock cinch Major League Baseball Hall of Famer as a manager. That's going to happen. Clayton Kershaw has been around the block a million times. I'm sure there are some words of wisdom that he can offer his teammates. Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, these guys are on another level. Will Smith is a multiple-time All-Star. I mean, there's nobody on this team that hasn't been through this before. So I think that they can really lean on their experience. I think that there's nobody in that clubhouse right now that's looking like, oh, man, we're cooked. Like sometimes you get that feeling, right? Sometimes you can just feel like guys have like, all right, it's just not meant to be, and they kind of roll. And I think we kind of felt like that against Milwaukee, right? Like after the first couple of games in Milwaukee kind of went, yeah, what are we going to do with this? And it was over. I don't get that sense with the Dodgers at all. I think that they're here for the fight. It's no guarantee that they're going to win, but I do think they're going to go out and fight. I'd be really surprised if they didn't.
Here's something that I love, Travis, where the Dodgers, they arrived, they left right after the game. The team did, the players did, the coaches a little bit later, but the players left right after game 5. They got there early to Toronto. They got to rest. They had the option to take Thursday off. None of them did. Everyone showed up to the Rogers Center, and once again, Shohei Ohtani, he took BP out on the field. That's leadership right there. That's tone setting where it's like anybody could just be like, you know what? Let me get some rest. We got here a little bit too early in the morning, red eye. No, this team is getting the tone set for what could be 2 days of baseball. One is guaranteed, but the other one, we need this squad to get there first. And I love it that it's like nobody took that option of taking the day off.
And especially Shohei, you mentioned it, that if anybody has earned the right to say, "Hey guys, I'm going to take a day. I'm going to get right," and you would expect him to be there, and no one to be like, "Hey, what's up with that guy?" None of that. Shohei Ohtani has earned the right to take a day off doing double duty. That he's out there, I think, tells you all you need to know where this entire team is as far as their approach goes, as far as where their mentality is. Harry, they just need some hits, man. And it's not like you're asking a bunch of scrubs to go get hits. You're asking a bunch of all-stars to go find a few hits. And I think once they get a few, they're going to get a bunch. They just got to get that crack in the dam. And I think everything else is going to start to roll after that. But that getting that first drop of water through that dam might be pretty challenging. It's proved challenging for the last couple of weeks, but it only takes a hit or two and you're right back in it.
Yeah, and look, let's talk pitching. The next reason, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he gets the ball for game 6, and he's exactly who you want in this spot. Calm, composed, fierce, cero miedo, no fear. And if he gives you at least 7 or 8 strong, we wish it's 9. I don't know if he can. I hope he does. But if he gives you 7 or 8 strong, Roki, he's going to be ready to take it from there after not pitching since Monday. So I like my chances there. And then in game 7, if they make it there, any mix of Ohtani, Glasnow, Snell, Sasaki can handle 9 innings between them. And that's a luxury that no other team has in baseball in that capacity.
Yeah, I think the only place where it may get a little tricky, and not impossible, but just a little trickier, is if somehow the game is still close, but Yamamoto is out of the game by the 5th or 6th inning. That's when it gets a little more dicey. Like, let's say it's 3-3 after 5 innings or even 6 innings. And do you go to Sasaki at that point? I would. I think that whenever Yamamoto is done, whether that's the 5th inning or any point after that, I think you go to Sasaki right there and you ride him as long as you possibly can. And now, if he's not effective, you got to make a move and go to somebody else. And I think it's got to be Glasnow or Ohtani at that point. Like you cannot mess around with those other guys. You have to keep it close. What we've seen in these last couple of games where it was close, and then the second the starter came out, the thing got big fast. That can't happen again. It can't be Banda. It can't be Trinan. It can't be Henriquez or any of those guys. It's got to be one of those guys that's going to come in there and can make guys miss and can strike some guys out. So I think that's where it gets a little dicey, because if he gives you 7 innings, then I think it's a no-brainer. It's just straight to Sasaki, and you either win or lose with Sasaki on the mound at that point. If it's a little earlier than that and you got to get 3 more outs, then where do you go from there? Because I'm with you. If they can force a game 7 on Saturday, it's all hands on deck. I literally think you would probably see anybody and everybody with the exception of Yamamoto, and I wouldn't even entirely write that off either.
Yeah, Sasaki went 1 2/3 against the Blue Jays in game 3. He has only pitched 3+ innings or 3 innings once since coming back to the Dodgers in September. And it was that extra innings game 4 against the Phillies, 3 innings, no hits, 2 strikeouts. So if you get to that spot, Travis, he's a starter. Next year, Roki Sasaki won't be a closer. He wants to start games in Major League Baseball, but he also wanted to be a contributor on this 2025 Dodgers in the postseason, and this was a spot that was open. So if you're in that spot, you were literally, I was thinking about it when you were talking it, and then you mentioned it, and it was like 100% right. We're clearly in the same page since co-hosting this show since July of this year. So yeah, if Yoshi can give you 5 or 6 because the Blue Jays are a great team making pitchers pitch, then I would go Roki Sasaki. And then the same way that I said, Glasnow, Snell, Ohtani for game 7, you should get 9 innings between these 3 guys.
Yeah, I think you should too. I don't think that's asking too much. And then, there's always the opportunity to, and this is probably a more likely scenario in game 7 than it would be in game 6. But, you bring Ohtani in the middle of the game, and then you obviously if they can't take a lead, you got to put him in the outfield somewhere. And now, and the Dodgers have already kind of cracked open the door of that being a possibility. So, it's a, weird circumstances demand weird answers, and Shohei Ohtani in left field in a World Series game is all of a sudden a very realistic possibility.
Hey, look, he can't be worse than Teoscar Hernandez
No, he
defensively at right
can't.
field. So just
No, he
throw him
can't.
out there. Throw him out there. We know he's fast. We know that he could throw the ball real fast. So it's like, hey, now let's just see if he can catch the ball, which is something he only does from the catcher to him during games.
The next thing that dude can't do on a baseball field will be the very first. You put him wherever you want, and I'm sure he will be just fine. He's Shohei Ohtani.
And look, on Thursday's episode of Locked On Dodgers, we were talking about Will Smith, about how some of his at-bats going in the 2 spot in that lineup didn't look good. He went over in that game. We also got to remember, he pretty much played 4 complete games in 3 days as the catcher. The most demanding position in a baseball field. I'm pretty sure this day without a game, I ain't going to say day off in air quotes, I'm saying a day without a game, even though they had to fly all the way to Toronto and everything, just not being down in that catcher's position is big for him. And let's hear precisely from Will Smith, because he gives us the kind of message you want to hear from your catcher, one of your leaders heading into an elimination game.
Yeah, no, we trust each other. You know, we believe we're the best team in baseball. You know, we've had our backs against the wall a lot this year, fighting through injuries, fighting through expectations and all that. This is a tough group, and I got no problem going in behind 2 games, going in there and winning 2 games, and we'll be ready for that.
That's the type of confidence I love hearing from one of our players, from our catcher, from one of our leaders, where it's like, hey, we're the best team in baseball. And also he mentioned that this team had to go against a lot of situations that were going against them, where you were talking injuries, where you were talking slumps, where you were talking bad moments with this team. It wasn't a walk in the park, Travis, for the Dodgers. July, August, those were really tough months for this team, and somehow, some way, they were able to get a divisional title. They were able to sweep the wild card, win against the great Phillies team in 4, sweep the team with the best record in Major League Baseball, and now they're in the World Series. Yes, we were extremely disappointed after Game 5, but you know what? It's a new day. It's a new opportunity. We have a better shot at winning the World Series than 30 other teams in baseball.
Yep, there's only one other team that has got a chance. The Dodgers are one of them. And look, like you said, the rough summer that they had for a couple of months, I think will serve them well tomorrow. They know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. They know that it doesn't take a miracle to start having this thing turn around. It just takes a couple of at-bats here or there. I think we're both pretty sure that the pitching is going to be up to snuff. So if they can find some offense, they're going to be in great shape. And going through the struggles they had, like you mentioned, in July and August, I think could be beneficial tomorrow.
And by the way, sorry, I meant a better opportunity to win the World Series than 28 other teams, because the Blue Jays, they do have a better shot than the Dodgers. They only need to win 1. The Dodgers need to win 2. And there's 30 teams in baseball, not like 32 like in the NFL. But here's the mindset that I have, and I'm going to have throughout Friday until the last out of Game 6 is recorded. The Dodgers are still alive. I love it that in the comment section on YouTube is like, hey, this ain't over. This ain't over. Yesterday, I was very pessimistic. Today, I'm on the positive side. Let's go. Next on Locked On Dodgers, we turn it over to you, the heartbeat of Locked On Dodgers. Your calls, your emotions, your takes. It's all next on Locked On Dodgers.
The NBA is back. Austin Reeves dropping buzzer beaters on people's heads. I love it. And there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Because on FanDuel, even if you miss the start of a game, or you want to kind of wait and see how the game starts to unfold, and then you want to ride that hot hand when it starts to happen, FanDuel is the place, because FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next bucket to fourth quarter comebacks. FanDuel has what you want. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when you know that your team's making that late push to get back in the game. So the question that I have for you, FanDuel right now is offering you new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So what are you waiting for? Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers, not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Rodgers, just like Dodgers, but replace the D with an R. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Boy, did my prediction video of Dodgers in 5, it started blowing up today because all the Blue Jays fans found it, and they are loving talking crap about it there. But let's leave those Blue Jays fans behind, and now it's time to hit the listener line, 279-3-LOCKED, and let you take the mic. Who else could lead it off, Travis? We know who.
Tony, baby.
Our guy, Tony from Los Feliz, coming in hot with frustration about this lineup and the power outage he has been watching.
This is unacceptable. After you tip your cap, of course, to the Blue Jays, really this is a fizzle. This is a brownout without question. This is a power outage of unpredictable and unacceptable proportions. And I want to point back to something else. In 2022, when we played the Padres, this happened, and in 23, it happened to the Diamondbacks, with the Diamondbacks, to us, and to their Dodger offense. And I got to say, this isn't anything new. This isn't something that, this is the second best offense in baseball this year. But they have a penchant for completely disappearing when the lights shine brightest. Last year in 24, for whatever reason, maybe because they had to, they obviously performed well, with the exception of Ohtani, who was hurt. So this is now becoming a pattern that in the last 22, 23, and now 25, for the last 4 years, obviously something has got to change in their philosophy when it comes to the biggest series. They've not been good in the postseason. In the World Series, they've been atrocious. Now, obviously, they can still win this thing. Probably not, but anything can happen in games 6 and 7. You've got Yamamoto and then everybody in 7. But it's going to be very, very hard if this offense continues to disappear.
All right, Tony, I hear you, man. You can feel that energy from the fan base. It's passion, it's frustration, it's that hunger to see this lineup explode again because we know they can do it, but we get flashbacks. He just brought it up against the Padres, against the D-backs in 22, in 23, losing in the divisional series with those bats going absolute silent, including Freddie Freeman, including Mookie Betts before Shohei Ohtani arrived, and you just can't. That margin for error in this stage is minimal, and you can't just go completely quiet with those bats at this stage.
Yeah, look, it happens, and it did happen in 22 and 23 against those teams, like Tony mentioned. But, you know, he went past 2024 awfully fast because the Dodgers were down 2-1 in 2024 to the Padres and had a bullpen game coming up. No one was feeling great about that, and we know what happened. They won that game. They came back up to LA and won a tight nail-biter 2-0. And they kicked the tires off of the Mets, and then they went and they beat up on the Yankees as well. It happens fast. It's not easy. That you're facing excellent pitching. The other guys are really good too. Trey Savage was as good as anybody you're going to see in a World Series game. He was lights out. Yamamoto can do that to them too. It's not. I don't think this is some sort of systemic failure on the Dodgers' part. It's that it's really hard. They went cold at a bad time. That doesn't mean that the lights are too bright because they won the others. The Phillies series was pretty bright lights. The NLCS is pretty bright lights, and they found a way to win those series too. So I love your calls, Tony, but I think that you skipped all the parts that kind of blow a hole in your argument. You're cherry picking only the stuff that fits for you. You got to take it all, my man.
Yeah, and he did mention that last year's World Series, even though Shohei was hurt, the rest of the guys stepped up. Now we got Shohei being the one that's batting 400 in the World Series, and everybody else is pretty quiet.
But it wasn't just the World Series. It was the NLCS last year. It was the NLDS after the first couple of games where they were exactly where they are right now. It's like, where did the offense go? Mookie couldn't get a hit, and everybody's saying, okay, here we go again. It's D-backs, it's Padres. Whoop! And then boom, win, boom, 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 World Series title. It turns quick.
And all the month of July and August, what were we talking about? Flipping the switch. They did so in September. They won the division. They made it through the NL pretty much easily. And now in the World Series, they're struggling. Hopefully, they still have time to flip the switch before it's all said and done. Thank you so much, Tony, for hitting us up. There are days that he calls, but that we don't have time on our show. Today, we are giving everybody a chance here to get the mic. Next up, a first-time caller, Rachel from Florida, who loved some of the fan traditions she saw during that epic marathon Game 3.
Hey there, Harry. Hey there, Travis. Thanks so much for hosting this pod. It's been great to watch you guys in what's been a wonderful postseason, especially for a East Coaster like myself. So my question for you guys, that was a crazy 18-inning game to these fans who are doing, the rally cap thing, trying to bring some good mojo, juju into the baseball universe. So my question for you guys is, as you were watching that game last night, what were you guys doing? Are you kind of doing your similar kind of baseball antics to bring good vibes to the team, or are you a little more kind of stay the course kind of people? And then two, how about the players? Is that something, have you seen players that kind of either professionally or in college kind of do something similar to the rally cap? I remember recent postseason, it might have been TK Hernandez who borrowed someone else's bat to try to get some lucky vibes going. So curious what your take is on that. Anyways, thanks so much. This is Rachel from Florida. Bye.
All right. For me, Travis, it's been pretty simple. I've watched every Dodgers postseason game with the exception of one in my living room. I'm in my home office here. I got a great TV right next to me, but the one game that I watched was the one that we lost against the Phillies. So since then, even though here I got keyboards, I got mouses, I got multiple computers and monitors, that makes it super easy to me to do charts like this for my USC and Raiders games. Indeed. I've been watching the games in my living room because when I watch it there, they win more. So that's something simple, but what have you done that it's like, do you have a tradition or something that you do where it's like, if I do this, the Dodgers win?
Well, I will tell you this, Rachel, that you will never meet a more superstitious group of people than you will with professional athletes or baseball players in particular. If you think you're getting a hit because you eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at 6:32 every day, then you're going to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at 6:32 every day. That's just the way that it goes, because what if it's true, right? I mean, it all sounds ridiculous, but it's only stupid if it doesn't work. And if you think it works, then it works. As far as me goes, if they win a game, I run it back. I will sit in the same spot. I will be, I will try to maybe eat something similar or have the same amount of beers or whatever it is. If they lose, change it up completely. Sit in a different spot. Try something different else to eat and drink. So, yeah, I'm as guilty as – and the worst guys are the ones that insist that they aren't superstitious and they'll do everything different every time. That's a superstition of its own kind. It's just not a repetitive one.
Yeah, it's the opposite there. And I'll just close. Personally, when I lived in Mexico, I moved out there in 98. I was out there for 12 years. Mexico soccer is a religion, and I got really into soccer. And the team I rooted for in my parents' hometown of Torreon, Coahuila, Mexico, Santos Laguna, they were like this close to getting relegated. They were terrible. They were absolutely bad. They were going to go from the top tier to the second division. And they were losing every game. I took a candle of St. Jude. I sneaked it into the stadium because you're not supposed to take candles in glass into the stadium. I sneaked it in, putting it in my pants, and I lit it up. Once the game started, they won. Every game after that, I took a candle, and I was like, hey, man, I'm going to be religious right here just because it's working. And guess what? They didn't get relegated. They won a championship the next year. So I'm going to say that I helped that team stay in the first division.
All I'm hearing, Harry, is that you kept the team out of the second division. That's all I heard. Good job by you.
Travis, did you have anything you used to do when you were playing baseball with the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos that you want to share?
I ate the same breakfast every day. If I knew I was going to pitch, I would eat, and it was the same thing every time. It was 2 sausage McMuffins and a hash browns and a giant Coke from McDonald's, which is probably not the breakfast of champions. The more I think about it, but I had a couple of good days on that, so I'm like, this is the secret sauce. But yeah, I did.
Thank you so much for that call, Rachel from Florida. We're getting it a little bit lighthearted after yesterday's show and after the beginning of this show. And now we're going to close it out with Lori from West Virginia, another first-time caller with a hilarious take. First, she's got a nickname for Will Klein and an interesting suggestion for Shohei Ohtani's routine.
Hey, y'all. This is Lori Ann Rodgers calling from Virginia, keeping it Dodger Blue over here. That's right, L.A. Rodgers. And I wanted to say, first of all, I think Mr. Klein's nickname should be Mr. Clean because he knows how to clean the batters off of the plate. Second of all, I'm wondering if anybody thought about the fact that Ohtani is from like a small lush mountain town. Like maybe he needs to practice somewhere with like fresh air and green lush mountains. Like we have White Sulphur Springs over here in West Virginia where the historic Greenbrier Hotel is. He could even probably buy the place, like actually buy it, not just buy it out. And they even have bunker and stuff there. It's really cool. Look at that. Greenbrier, White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. And maybe somebody, if he wants to stay on the West Coast, would let him practice up in, Washington State. Especially Mariners fans, especially if he's going to be, somebody who kept them out of the series. They let him use their property in the mountains to practice. I just thought maybe that's what he needs, I write, I'm creative, I live in the forest. If you took me out of that environment, I probably wouldn't be able to perform as well. So, maybe when he gets in the slump, that's what he needs, something like his home environment he grew up in. All right, love y'all. Keep it Dodgers Blue. Enjoy watching your day. Bye.
How about that suggestion from Miss Lori? First, I love the nickname for Will Klein. If he keeps putting together more clean innings, I don't see why we shouldn't start calling him Mr. Clean. As for Shohei heading out to West Virginia or Washington State to train because of the clean air, the mountain views, I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, points for creativity right there for Lori.
Hey, look, if unfortunately we've just run out of time, but if there was a way to get him out there when he was struggling earlier in the playoffs, I don't know. Maybe he took he's got means. Maybe he went and found some green mountains and rediscovered his swing. Whatever it takes. Baseball players, baseball fans, we're all terribly superstitious and routine oriented. So hopefully everybody finds their little groove in Toronto and we get to do this one more time and get to throw a parade next week in LA.
Yeah, when you combine those numbers from Game 4 of the NLCS and Game 3 of the World Series, I don't think that the smog in LA affected Shohei Ohtani right there. He's all right. But thank you so much. Thank you to Tony, to Rachel, to Lori, and to everyone who's left us messages this week. The fan base energy right now off the charts, and I see a lot of positivism out there, and I love it because we definitely need it. The boys in blue need it, and hopefully it transfers to them on that field.
Yeah, look, I wish I weren't this way. I am not naturally optimistic. I am generally hardwired to be a cynic, and I wish I wasn't, but I am. I'm not cynical about this. I really think that they have an opportunity to win the World Series in the next couple of days. And it's kind of a weird feeling for me, Harry. I usually don't roll like this. I don't know, but I just have a feeling that they're going to show up tomorrow and look like the Dodgers all over again. And that's all they need to do for one night.
One of my favorite sayings, Travis, I heard it in one of the newer Spider-Man movies. Expect disappointment and you will never be disappointed. Right now, I'm going into Game 6 was like, hey, we're going to win. So if they lose, I'm going to be disappointed. But right now, I'm not in that mindset of it's like, oh, we're done. No, let's go out there. Let's win Game 6. Let's win Game 7. And let's have a parade next week in downtown LA.
Sold.
All right, that'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Dodgers. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, until a World Series champ is crowned this weekend. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Travis and I are going to be back on Monday no matter what. But I'll be in Lincoln, Nebraska tomorrow, and you better believe I'm going to try to drop a bonus episode after Game 6. Let's just hope it's one celebrating the Dodgers keeping this thing alive, not wrapping it up, Travis.
Yep, we'll be fired up. I got good vibes, Harry. I don't get them very often, but when I get them, I'm pretty pleased, and I got good vibes going into Friday night.
I love hearing that. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.